the most recent essay about the history of natural resources in Syria for the past 100 years has been connected to the size of economy. We must further the discussion of the natural resources in relation to weather machines and the appearance of catastrophic weather events. We need to establish a certain fact about our life and the economy. The life we live now is something that our ancestors never dreamed of. The cause for the great improvement of the lifestyle is the technology that comes from natural resources. If we do not have iron, we do not have cars. And if we do not have engines, we cannot get the iron out of the ground quickly and in large amounts. After thousands of years that mankind has worked with the iron, he developed an engine which allows the excavation of natural resources to become a bigger force of trade than the world has ever known. With this rise of natural resource mining, we see the rise of technology and the advancement of human lifestyle. No man can be allowed to take ownership of natural resources. It is the false claim of one man to economic powers greater than a city of people. It can never be accepted because it's falsehood. It is unnatural and devious and corrupt practices to take private ownership of natural resources. Every king has become a despot and a leech, parasite, and an evil menace to the economic well-being of every country. The economy of a country generates billions of dollars every year based on the things of highest value that the country produces, the natural resources. The natural resources in the country is generating billions and billions and billions, tens of hundreds of billions of dollars in 1 year. And the economy and the people and the labor force are pulling this up from these natural resources out of the earth and putting these billions and billions of dollars into the economy. And none of the economic well-being, welfare of the nation is being reflected by those billions and billions and billions of dollars. 1,000 years ago, the natural resources such as iron and copper and any other important metal was mined using explosives to break up the rock. If you want to get a tunnel in the ground for mining, you cannot use only shovels. It's an impossibly laborious task to get the metals out of the earth. When explosives are placed underground to break apart bedrock for natural resources, it always makes an earthquake. Every single time you place bombs underground and detonate them, the earth will shake. In the past 100 years, we have mined more of the earth than we have done in the history of mankind. That means you will see more earthquakes than we have ever known in the history of mankind. In the scientific reports from mining and drilling projects, there is a recorded history of directly causing earthquakes in the process of drilling and hitting known faults, triggering bigger earthquakes. There is a recorded history of groundwater toxicity and cancer from drilling and mining projects leaking into the water supply. There's a recorded history of land sinking, cracks in the ground, and landslides, which are secretly the side effects of drilling and mining. This record of the history of these side effects from the excavation of natural resources is mostly written in the English language. Therefore, the countries who do not translate from the English language don't find the information. How many people saw suggestions on YouTube 1 week before the earthquake in Morocco to remind you of what happened in Turkey? This means the YouTube knew about the deadly Morocco earthquake 1 week before it happened, and furthermore, signaled and messaged across the entire internet network. This could only happen if the earthquake was a planned event. What is the biggest and most obvious reason for earthquakes? The answer is drilling and mining. It's the clearest, most obvious, most likely, and only possible source of such a magnitude of power under the base of the Atlas Mountains. That it's the power to break mountains. It's clearly the most logical and the most simple and direct explanation for the earthquake is that it was a bomb under the Atlas Mountains of Morocco on Friday, September 8th. The explosion was 30 kilometers long and 40 kilometers wide. And the shock blast compiled upon itself because it was enclosed within a deep space in the ground. In February, there was an earthquake in Turkey near a mining company. In May, the fires in Canada started burning all of the oil lands and wastewater lakes. In June, 100 fires in Quebec, Canada suddenly appeared, and they were kilometers wide within hours. The infrared radar looked like a white phosphorus automatic machine gun satellite had sprayed the sky. In August, a city in Hawaii was burned as 2 microwave beams straddled the city for an hour. It was visible on the radar. The microwave radar beams emanated from the Molokai Airport Next Generation Radar Station 100 kilometers away. That city is a strategic travel point that has 4,000-foot mountains protecting the backside and 3 islands on the ocean-facing shoreline, which provided defensive perimeter against the deep open waters of the Pacific. And if I had more time, I would go to each of these locations, the location of the February earthquake, and show you that mining company marked on the map project, show you the location of the fires in Quebec and how it's so clear. There's wastewater lakes everywhere. It's the only thing that's there. And every time there's fires in Canada, there's wastewater lakes everywhere. That's why they catch fire so easily. And then we already went to Hawaii. It is now September, and there's a terrible event in Morocco. We wish and strive for in our hearts towards the mercy of God for the people of Morocco. All of the weather modification is occurring from a combination of weather stations that are pulsing radar beams like a disco ball all day and all night, using chemical sprays in the atmosphere and mostly dispersing them in the middle of the night to avoid showing up on the radar, and using electrical pulses to cause the chemicals in the atmosphere to catch fire. And this is all visible like some kind of disgusting dance party on the weather radar. This has to be known by the meteorologist watching this occurring and staying silent, as did the doctors during 2020. So the weather machines, which are causing heat waves, sudden violent storms, massive typhoons, fires, and floods, are a technology that was originally designed for making X-rays to study the mineral deposits deep underground. It is a radar technology. It uses antennas, electric currents, and satellites in a combination to produce images and video streams of what resources lay deep in the ground. And they're using it also, they've modified them and modified ground stations all across the world for pulsing radar. And these same tyrants who control the natural resources of the countries and who are getting billions and billions of dollars more than taxes, more than our taxes, and controlling our governments, which are mining all of these explosive and flammable materials, are using them to develop weapons technology for weather modification. And this year, these bad guys are feeling super rushed and in a hurry. Every month, they've done major, major, major attacks. Devastation. They're aggressing themselves and their evil plans, and they are trying to move quickly. The source of the problem is that the natural resources are supposedly the personal property of some guys, and they are using billions of dollars of profits, and they never share them with the economy of the country, and they are exfiltrating the wealth of the nation. There are billions of dollars under the feet in every country, for every man, woman, and child to live a beautiful and prosperous life. And every person whose mother invested and father invested so much into them, everybody deserves life. And there's some ways that the world does not work, and there's some very corrupt people, and those people don't have the right to inherit this world. And the minerals underground, these minerals are as abundant as flowers are on the country lands, and as colorful. The heat from the core of the earth, the heat is interacting with all of the water and the minerals that are in the ground and making these rainbow veins of precious materials. And it's recycled by the earth and regenerated. We've been made to believe it's a limited resource, and we are rich beyond our imagination. Allahu Akbar.